The rain had already soaked the pavement when Daniel Harper saw the girl at the bus stop, sitting perfectly still as if the world had forgotten her and moved on. Cars rushed past, splashing muddy water onto the curb, but she did not flinch. Her thin dress clung to her fragile frame, her shoes were mismatched, and her clouded eyes stared into nothing. A cardboard sign lay near her feet, warped by rain, with words written so faintly they were almost gone. In that moment, something inside Daniel tightened painfully, the same place that still ached every night since his wife had died. He was a single father barely holding life together, yet the sight of that abandoned blind girl felt like fate grabbing his chest and refusing to let go. Before the story goes any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet miracles that can change lives, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them most. Daniel had not planned to stop. He was exhausted after a double shift at the warehouse, his hands still smelling of cardboard and dust. His 7-year-old daughter, Lily, was waiting at home with her homework spread across the kitchen table and a dinner that would probably be cereal again. Life had become a cycle of survival since Sarah, his wife, passed away 3 years earlier. Every morning he woke before dawn, every night he collapsed into bed with guilt gnawing at him for not being enough for Lily. Yet something about the girl at the bus stop shattered his routine. She looked no older than 16, her hair tangled, her face pale, and her posture stiff as though she had learned long ago not to expect help. Daniel parked the car and stepped out into the rain. As he approached, he noticed her hands trembling slightly, resting on a white cane that had cracks along its length. The bus stop was empty, no bus schedule posted, no shelter from the cold. It was as if someone had placed her there and walked away without looking back. Daniel felt anger rise in his chest, mixed with a deep sadness he couldn't explain. He wondered who could abandon a blind child like this, and what kind of pain she must have endured to sit there so quietly, accepting whatever came next. That he guided her gently to the car, wrapped his jacket around her shoulders, and drove her home, unsure of what he was doing but certain that leaving her behind was not an option. Lily watched from the doorway when they arrived, her eyes wide with confusion and curiosity. The house was small and cluttered, but warm, and for the first time in a long while, Daniel felt that warmth reach somewhere deeper than his skin. The girl introduced herself as Emily, her voice soft and cautious, as though every word had been tested for safety before being released into the world. She explained that she had been traveling with someone who promised work and shelter, but when the money ran out, she was left at the bus stop with nothing but her cane and the clothes she wore. Days turned into weeks, and Emily stayed. Daniel contacted social services, but paperwork moved slowly, and Emily had nowhere else to go. Lily quickly grew attached to her, reading stories aloud in the evenings and guiding her carefully through the house. Watching them together stirred something in Daniel that had been dormant since Sarah's death. Emily helped Lily with schoolwork by listening patiently, offering gentle encouragement, and somehow understanding the child's struggles better than most adults ever had. The house felt less empty, less haunted by grief, yet Daniel couldn't shake the feeling that Emily carried a secret heavier than her blindness. Sometimes she would wake in the night crying silently, her face turned toward the wall. Sometimes she would sit by the window, listening to the world outside with an expression that suggested memory rather than imagination. Daniel respected her silence, believing that trust grew best when not forced. Still, he sensed that her past was tightly bound to his own in a way he couldn't yet see. The truth revealed itself one quiet afternoon when Daniel was cleaning out old documents, searching for Lily's medical records. Lily had been sick as a baby, dangerously ill, and survived only because of an emergency organ transplant. Daniel remembered the terror of those days, the prayers whispered into hospital hallways, the relief that nearly knocked him to his knees when the doctor said a donor had been found. As he sorted through papers, Emily sat nearby, tracing the grain of the table with her fingertips. When Daniel mentioned Lily's transplant absent-mindedly, Emily stiffened, her hand freezing mid-motion. She told him then, her voice trembling but steady, that she had once had a little sister who died in an accident years ago. That sister had been an organ donor. Emily never knew who received the organs, only that her parents blamed her for surviving when her sister did not. Their grief turned into resentment, and eventually into neglect. When Emily lost her sight due to an untreated infection, she became a burden they no longer wanted to carry. She was sent away, passed between relatives, then strangers, until she ended up at that bus stop. Daniel felt the room spin as the pieces aligned with cruel clarity. Dates, hospitals, the transplant registry numbers he had memorized during Lily's illness all pointed to one impossible truth. Emily's sister had saved Lily's life. The girl sitting at his table, abandoned and broken, was the reason his daughter was alive. The weight of that realization crushed him, and tears he had not allowed himself to shed in years streamed freely down his face. From that moment, everything changed. Daniel no longer saw Emily as a guest or a responsibility, but as family bound by something deeper than blood. He fought harder with social services, ensured Emily received proper medical care, therapy, and mobility training. He learned how to guide her safely, how to listen more than speak, how to let love replace pity. Lily, unaware of the full truth, simply knew that Emily belonged with them, and that was enough. The past did not vanish, and healing was not instant. Emily struggled with guilt, believing her life had been worth less than her sister's. Daniel struggled with anger toward the world for allowing such cruelty. But together, they learned that survival was not a crime, and that love could grow even from the deepest loss. Slowly, laughter returned to the house. Slowly, the shadows of grief softened. Years later, when Emily stood confidently with her cane at Lily's school graduation, Daniel watched them both with a heart full beyond words. The bus stop that once symbolized abandonment had become the starting point of a family rebuilt from broken pieces. Sometimes miracles did not arrive with light and music, sometimes they arrived soaked in rain, sitting silently, waiting for someone brave enough to stop. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that kindness can change lives in ways we may never fully understand, please take a moment now to like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to the channel so more stories like this can continue to spread hope. And before this story ends, please comment below and tell us what part moved you the most, because your words might be the reason someone else believes in compassion again. Daniel often thought back to that rainy evening and realized that saving Emily had also saved himself. In choosing not to walk away, he found healing, purpose, and a family stronger than he ever imagined. And sometimes, in the quiet moments of gratitude, he believed that somewhere beyond sight, a little girl was smiling, knowing her love had lived on.